At that time, Lu Bohan went back to his house to drink tea alone, and then he thought of Lu Qianqian. After thinking about it, he stewed Xueyan and prepared to go to comfort his daughter. In his eyes, Lu Qianqian is the most tender and considerate. She must be scared after such a thing today, but she is so sensible that she must be embarrassed to disturb his father. She must be crying in the room now. Who knows, he just arrived in front of Lu Qian's room, he was stopped by a maid. Report back to the master. The young lady was frightened, said to himself, quiet, charming jade is inside with, no one is allowed to go in. I knew that she had been frightened before she came. You can't even stop me. Lu Bohan's heart is understanding, only when Lu Qianqian considerate, do not want him to do the father's worry. The maidservant's face was in a dilemma. Master, although the young lady has a soft temper, the maidservants dare not refute her life. Lu Bohan usually thinks that he is the most gentle, so he has a good temper and says, then you enter the communication, Qianqian will let me in. The maidservant was relieved and quickly entered to report back. After a while, she came out pale again. Putong knelt down, master, little, miss is gone. What? Lu Bohan suddenly changed his face and rushed in. Seeing that there was no one in the bedroom, his face became more and more gloomy and worried. What's the matter? Where's Miss? You don't tell me clearly yet. The servant girl in the room knelt down all of a sudden. They were all shivering and scared, but no one knew. The charming jade, who has just changed her clothes, comes out of her ear room. She hears Lu Bohan's angry questioning and kneels down with the same pale face. Seeing this, a maid said quickly, back to the master, it was the charming jade who was waiting on him before. In a word, the responsibility will be completely shirked. Lu Bohan's eyes swept over and his face was gloomy. You don't know where the lady has gone. With a pale face, she buried her head deep on the ground. After a long time, she trembled and said, Miss, I don't know. I don't know what happened when the young lady was just here. Lu Bohan, however, refused to believe what she said. He slapped the table next to him heavily and said angrily, come on, drag this cheap maid down and beat her until she says it. Other people hurry to find her. If you can't find her in an hour, you won't have to live. All of them were afraid, especially the charming jade, whose body was completely paralyzed. She really didn't know where Lu Qianqian was. If she played according to Lu Bohan's method, she would not be able to say why she was killed. At this time, Lu Qianqian didn't know that the Prime Minister had disappeared because of her sudden disappearance. She looked at the handsome man in front of her and thought for a moment. Then she whispered, Your Highness, I don't know what's the matter with you. Yan Mo Li Ying's eyes swept over her shy and timid face, but her words were a little chilly. I want to hear you explain what happened at the banquet today. Lu Qianqian's face was stiff for a few minutes. After a while, he said softly, It's just like what your highness saw. It's someone who wants to frame me. It's a stranger. Yan Moli, like a falcon, scanned her with keen eyes, and her voice was slightly deep. Now you dare to deceive me. Lu Qianqian's face turned white. He knelt down like a humble servant and crawled at Yan Moli's feet. My subordinates dare not. It's the flower in the street who deceives others so much that he wants to kill me again and again. Today I just can't bear it. I just do it. Yan Mo looked down at her coldly. Why don't you know that there will be a sound in this hall during the banquet? At that time, they were out at the same time. If Lu Qianqian informed him in advance, he would not be so embarrassed. If he was involved in it, Lu Qianqian would really die. I think it's not a big deal, so I don't think it's necessary to talk to your highness so that he won't be upset. Lu Qian even dare not lift his head, humble mouth explanation. You know, because of your reckless action this time, I have to come out in public. My father is most suspicious and most taboo about the emperor's private clique. If I didn't go to the Japanese palace on the pretext of the Empress Dowager's birthday, I would have been doubted by my father. Yan Mo's eyes were as sharp and gloomy as an eagle. Then, he suddenly leaned slightly, clamped Lu Qianqian's jaw, slightly squeezed, "Your little tricks, you'd better give me rotten in my stomach in the future. The flower on the street has its own house, will personally clean up. Your task is to do a good job of Lu Xiangdi daughter. Insight right Xiangpian to help me." In front of his eyes was Yan Mo Li's dark and sharp eyes. Although he said such cruel words, Lu Qian couldn't help being drunk in it. After a long time, he began to say in a trembling voice, "Yes, I understand." Yan Moli suddenly released her and turned around, "You can go back." Lu Qianqian gently raised her hand and stroked the place he had just clamped. It was red here, but she didn't feel the pain. On the contrary, she cherished it. "Your Highness." She suddenly remembered something. Her words had already poured into her throat, but it seemed that she was stuck by something and could not spit it out. She wanted to ask when Her Highness would come to the Prime Minister's residence to propose marriage, and when she could meet Yan Mo Li day by day, but she was afraid of Yan Mo Li. Sure enough, Yan Mo Li Falcon General deep and sharp eyes swept over, her throat stuck, words all choked back, "Nothing, subordinate leave." When she got out of the room, she realized that the low pressure around her had faded away a lot and her breathing was smooth. However, despite the low pressure and temperature, she also enjoyed it. Sooner or later, she will stand on the same height with her. With the charming heart, she quietly sneaked into the Prime Minister's residence. Just as I arrived at the wall of the Prime Minister's residence, I saw that there was a lot of noise inside. All the servant girls in the residence were searching for something in the courtyard with lanterns, and they kept calling for Miss. Lu Qianqian's secret way was bad. He turned over under the wall first, then took off his black coat and cloak, buried it under the soil, and then simply collapsed under the shade of a tree. Sure enough, but in a moment, a servant girl exclaimed in surprise, "I've found Mississippi, Miss is here." When Lu Qianqian was taken back, he lied to Lu Bohan and passed away. However, she was so tired that she was beaten half dead and fainted. The Prime Minister's office naturally would not leave such a useless person, so he directly threw her to the mass grave to die. Just at this time, it began to rain outside. And Yan Mo Li sighed. Lu Qianqian after walking inside the house then came a dark way, see him then directly kneel down to reply. "Your Highness, Your Majesty has welcomed the son of the Wuxian clan into the palace, leaving only the son in the palace and driving everyone out, which seems to be quite trusting." Yan Mo Li seems to have no accident to this matter, the lip cape lightly picks, "This temple then knows, the father emperor certainly won't refuse this kind of temptation." Does the father and the emperor ask the son about the fairy art? It's all within Your Highness's expectation. Yan Mo Li nodded his head slightly, and the eagle's eyes crossed a little bit of the color of potential. A few days ago, Emperor Baorong refused to grant him land and reward. He didn't know where he was offended by Emperor Baorong. He desperately wanted to make some achievements and let Emperor Baorong treat him again. However, he didn't care at all. He was only slightly interested in the whereabouts of the national master. After his return to China, he was rewarded in every way, almost as a god. He thinks about it and thinks about it. Only by finding a way to support a person who is like a national teacher can he get the most favorable help. It seems that he was right. Thinking of this, he could not help but slightly raised his lips. In this way, both Yan Beicheng and other princes will lose the power to fight with him. As we all know, the real identity of the national master is Yan Beicheng, so the national master will always be loyal to him, but it's not in the pool to know. The next day, Mo Shanghua wakes up in Yan Beicheng's arms. Looking at his beautiful and intact side face, he can't help but gently raise his lips and feel a little sweet in his heart. It would be nice to live such a peaceful life with Yan Beicheng. Just thinking about it, Yan Beicheng also woke up, but his mind didn't seem to be fully awake. He opened his hazy sleeping face and gently chiseled a mouthful of pollen on his lips, and then gradually became clear. The flowers on the street were so stunned by his kiss that they began to laugh again. In my impression, Yan Beicheng has never been so relaxed. At this moment, he is unprepared, just like an ordinary man. It's really valuable. What are you laughing at? Yan Beicheng seems to have come to his senses. It's strange to see her like this. Nothing. Mo Shanghua pushed away his arms, sat up and cried habitually, Qinya. Yan Beiqing just woke up, but he had the idea of lying in bed. Before he had time to get tired of it for a moment, Mo Shanghua wanted to ask Qinya to come in. How could he follow her? However, before it was his turn to stop him, he heard the flowers frowning, Where's Qinya? Why are you at this time? Qinya came in, but Aunt Zhang was smiling. Almost at the moment of hearing the sound of footsteps outside, Yan Beiqing turned his body back. After a rest of his mind, he covered most of his face with a quilt and only covered his smooth and perfect face. Mo Shanghua thought of it, so she got out of bed directly, helped Yan Beiqing cover the quilt, and said, The Lord still needs to sleep, you go out to help me get a clean clothes. Aunt Zhang didn't dare to be ignorant. She answered with a smile. Her eyes swept around Yan Beiqing, who was still lying on the bed. Then she went down again. When she came in, Yan Beiqing had recovered the birthmark on his face and sat up. The flower on the street is wearing clothes, and her eyes are sweeping towards Aunt Zhang. She is puzzled, Where's Qinya? Aunt Zhang lowered her head and twisted a wet handkerchief. Then she raised her hand and handed it to Mo Shanghua. That girl picked up a wounded girl outside the house last night and took care of her all night. She didn't fall asleep until she got up in the morning. She didn't have the heart to serve her. Such dereliction of duty should be punished by the princess. Mo Shanghua wiped his face with a wet handkerchief and then asked, What kind of woman is that? As for what Aunt Zhang said later, she didn't pay any attention to her plan. Aunt Zhang turned her lips and said, Who knows, she took her directly to her house. We didn't really see her. It's just a pity that she didn't have a lot of breath. The princess should go to persuade her to throw the baby out. If she died in the house, it would be unlucky. Mo Shanghua frowned slightly and was about to continue to ask. Aunt Zhang immediately turned into a gossip woman. She glanced at Yan Beiqing and looked at Mo Shanghua. She said with a smile, The princess was with the prince yesterday. I don't know if she will have dinner together today. As soon as Yan Beiqing saw Aunt Zhang's appearance, his sword eyebrows wrinkled tightly and his face was full of disgust. Princess, where did you attract such an ugly woman? It's really bad luck that your mouth is so broken. Mo Shanghua's originally frowning brows suddenly stretched a little, and some could not help laughing. In this case, Aunt Zhang, you'd better go out to wait on her, and give it to others. Aunt Zhang had some questions about yesterday in her mind. She wanted to take the opportunity to inquire about it. Now she was so embarrassed by Yan Beiqing. She was not in the mood to inquire about it. She threw the handkerchief to a servant girl and went down with a cursory salute. When he went out, he met Qinya, who came in a hurry. He hummed coldly on purpose. But Qinya didn't even look at her. She passed her directly and went in, which made her feel stuffy. Princess. Qinya didn't sleep well all night. At the moment, she was still a little dark green, but she didn't feel sleepy. She was so anxious that she came to Mo Shanghua and didn't even notice Yan Beiqing. I have something to ask for. Please move to my bedroom. Mo Shanghua is sitting in front of the dressing table, combing her long hair by her servant girl. She looks up slightly at Wen Yan, but are you the woman you saved yesterday? Qinya nodded heavily, and his eyes swept around. Then he saluted Yan Beiqing, and his eyes looked at him earnestly. Yan Beiqing had already finished dressing under the servant girl's service. When he saw this, he took a folding fan and said to the servant girl beside him with a smile, Go to the side imperial concubine and let me know that my king is going to have breakfast with her, so I'll go. Yes. Said, the foot also didn't hesitate, lift a step then with just ordered of maidservant hind foot to go out. With the departure of Yanbei city, most of the people in the house are missing. But Qinya is still worried. She glances at the maid who is still combing her hair for Mo Shanghua and signals her to go down. Then she comes to Mo Shanghua's ear and whispers, What I saved yesterday is not someone else, but the girl next to Miss Lu, who is called Charming Jade. Confirm it's Lu Qianqian's side. The eyes of the flowers on the street are slightly fixed, and the long hair that has not been rolled up between the temples is pasted on the cheek. Chinya nodded with certainty. I've confirmed it again and again. I found her in the corner gate of the backyard of my house last night. I was left with a breath. I thought you had rested, so I used the Ning's soul pill you gave me to hang her life for a while. I didn't expect that I was too late. I came to see her in a hurry. I'll take a look at it as you like. When the flowers in the street heard the words, they didn't even have time to comb their hair. They took out a hairpin from the dressing box at random, rolled up their 3,000 long hair and walked out quickly. Chinya quickly follows and leads her to her room. When the master and servant arrived, the charming jade lying on her back didn't know what was going on. Suddenly, her whole body twitched, her teeth trembled, her eyes closed, and her pretty face was full of pain. Put a handkerchief in her mouth. Mo Shanghua orders Chinya in a hurry, but he quickly steps forward and points several acupoints on the charming jade. Chinya is also in a hurry to put a handkerchief into the mouth of the charmed jade, she this just avoided accidentally bite to own tongue and die. Mo Shanghua continued to rescue her. She untied her clothes 3 times and 5 times, leaving only her inner garment. Then she took out an acupuncture bag from her sleeve and gave her acupuncture. With the silver needle falling at each acupoint, the convulsions of her whole body gradually stopped, and finally returned to calm. Mo Shanghua is not half slack. She pulls the wrist of the charming jade, and then removes the inner garment from her body. The wound on her body is immediately clear. Those who wait on the master's side are usually pretty girls. Charming jade is no exception. Her eyebrows are pretty and her body is thin and white. But now her skin, which should have been white and flawless, was full of scars. The thin shoulder was covered with small wounds left by small cones, which covered her whole shoulder like a red rash. Although the wounds didn't look very good, it was inevitable that so many of them gathered together. The wounds were full of coagulated blood. There are many similar scars on the arm, some new and some old. It seems that they have been accumulated for a long time. What's more, her buttocks seem to have been tortured by the battle. She's already skin split and blood dripping. Even a few inches on her waist are involved. With a touch, the blood will pour out instantly. Chinya was both frightened and frightened. She couldn't bear it. Princess, isn't Miss Lu the one who likes to pretend? How can you brazenly grind the girl around you like this? Mo Shanghua frowned and shook his head. His eyes were dignified and he raised his hand to touch the charming jade's forehead. As expected, it was very hot. This is the imperial city. No one's life is worth money, especially the maidservant's. Qin Yatan shivered when she was young. Suddenly she was very glad that she had followed the stranger. If she had been someone else, she might have been beaten to what shape. Mo Shanghua has no intention to talk and laugh with Chinya. He turns to the desk and takes the pen, ink, paper, and inkstone. He starts writing on the paper quickly and speaks a little faster. You can go to the street to get the medicine quickly. Remember, you must go in person. After catching the medicine, you can come back to boil it quickly without delay. If it were half an hour in the evening, she would surely die. Chinya should go down and put the prescription neatly between the lapels. Before she had time to step out of the door, Mo Shanghua suddenly took her hand and looked at the window. It seemed that she could see the situation outside through the carved wooden window. Then, Chinya didn't see how Mo Shanghua did it. She only vaguely saw that she had a silver needle in her hand. In the blink of an eye, she flew out, leaving a tiny hole in the window that was almost invisible to the naked eye. At the same time, a woman's cry sounded outside the door. Chinya just stepped forward to open the door. Her eyes were not good at looking at the door. She arched her body and covered her shoulder with one hand. She didn't have a good way. Aunt Zhang, I didn't expect you to hunchback so soon. Are you still working in the future? You are only 27 years old now. I think Aunt Zhang's angry face turned red, but at this time, her shoulder was sore and tender. She didn't want to quarrel with Chinya at all, leaving behind a cruel sentence. little girl, I'll deal with you in the future. Then he covered his shoulder and left. But don't want to, this words just finished saying, cover the arm of the shoulder but also suddenly a hemp, then is born cut her hand and foot general pain. She screamed and looked down. There was a bright silver needle on her wrist, just like the one on her shoulder. Looking in the direction of the silver needle, you can see that in the half-covered house, the flowers on the street are staring at her. Although they don't speak, they are better than cutting her into pieces. She did not dare to be arrogant, even the silver needle did not dare to pull out. Quickly, Poop Tong knelt down, full of fear. Maidservant damn, the cold eyes of the flower on the street firmly fixed on her, and her words were more like the coming of death. Aunt Zhang, I forgot what I said to you on the first day I came here so soon. Naturally, I forgot. After all, I didn't put more control on her these days. I just wanted to drive her out to serve her. But now, she is thoroughly recalled, can't help shivering, shaking mouth, remember. Mo Shanghua's voice is slightly slow, but her words are extremely cruel. I know all the little movements you do. If you are restless, I will never forgive you lightly and roll away. Yes, go away. Aunt Zhang was so scared that she quickly climbed down. Seeing this, Qinya snorted scornfully. Then she closed the door and told no one else to come near. She left quickly. Mo Shanghua left the room, took the ointment out, and carefully treated all the wounds on her body for her. After Qinya came back, she was busy again. Until noon, the breath of charming jade was stable. When she woke up, it was 2 more days. Princess, she's awake. Qinya looked at the charming jade who slowly opened her eyes, and hurried to the flower path behind her. The flower on the street saw it, only nodded slightly, with no expression on her face. She thinks, charming jade should not be willing to open a mouth for a moment now, anxious. Sure enough, as soon as she was sober, she saw that the person in front of her was Qinya, a stranger. She was so surprised that she couldn't speak for a long time. Then she looked down at the clean clothes she had put on and the wound she had bandaged. She was silent. For a long time, she forced herself to come down from the collapse. With tears in her eyes, she kowtowed to the flowers on the street. The princess is very kind, and the charming jade kneels down to thank her. Mo Shanghua glances at Qinya. She immediately raises her and returns her to the bed. The tears on her face were still unstoppable. Her pretty face was pale and frightening. I'm still alive, still alive. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua simply let her vent enough. When her mood stabilized again, she said, I should know that I won't save you because of my kindness. Charming jade can be Lu Qianqian within the side, nature is not stupid people, Bite nodded, there is no free food in the world, maidservant understand, the princess want maidservant say what, maidservant will tell one by one, never dare to deceive half a cent. Qinya looked at her in surprise, a little surprised on her face, do you have no hesitation? Charming jade with a sad smile, face with self-mockery, maidservant was originally loyal, but miss she never showed me as a person, every day before people will be gentle and kind, people everywhere abuse me, yesterday saw me seriously injured directly abandoned me, how can I continue to be loyal? Even if she could persuade others, she could not convince herself. So, why do you come to such a situation? Mo on the flower delicate mandible light point for a while, light way. When she heard that the master wanted me to be thrown into a mass grave, she asked for a few words of love. Although I was abused by her day by day, she never really hated her in her heart. If I hadn't lost my breath yesterday, and then woke up on the way, I would have died today if I hadn't been out of the city and still kept me in the alley. Mo Shanghua saw her face full of tears, pathetic appearance, can't help but silence down, eyes sweep to Qinya delicate cheek. The corner of Qinya's lips drew. Knowing that she was not pitying, she just didn't like the way that charming jade was crying. Then she handed the handkerchief up. Charming jade wiped tears, eyes hidden hate, although I'm usually timid, in front of her atmosphere do not dare to breathe, but now I really hate her, you want to ask what, just ask, I will confide one by one. Mo Shanghua saw the tears on her face, and she felt a little comfortable. She said, "You said Lu Qianqian stopped suddenly when he heard the cuckoo, and then disappeared?" She nodded and then shook her head. "I don't know. I only know that Miss seems to have a special magic power to cuckoo's call. Every time I hear this voice, I will spare my servant. Today's Miss is the only one who suddenly disappeared. I didn't dare to go in and see it. I don't know." Mo Shanghua looked down thoughtfully, and then said, "Tell me all about Lu Qianqian's usual daily habits and favorite meals." Enchanting Jade some don't understand, but also didn't ask much, effort recalled for a while, then all told Mo Shanghua without falling a word. It all sounds normal, except for 2 points. One is that Lu Qianqian will stop whenever she hears the cuckoo's voice, no matter how indignant she is. The other is that she is not in the room occasionally, but she will come back within a cup of tea. She only says that she has gone out for a walk and doesn't want to be followed. But her shoes are stained with mud. Another point is that she really loves Yan Moli to the core and thinks that he can come and marry himself every day. He often talks with Lu Bohan about the affairs of the imperial court. In his words, he always helps Yan Moli, and Lu Bohan sometimes tries his best to help him find his daughter's kindness. Mo Shanghua soon picked out all the key points in the charming Jade words, thinking for a moment before she got up. "Thank you for today. I'll ask someone to take good care of you." She sincerely placated, "But I am also troubled here, your identity is embarrassing, I will order people to move you to a safe place, I am afraid there will be places where you need to be in the future." She tried her best to sit up straight and show her respect. "She will do her best." Mo Shanghua pulled down the corner of her lip and gave her a little smile. "When everything is understood, I will help you find a good marriage." Her face was full of gratitude. She quickly got up and kowtowed her head on the bed. "Thank you, Princess. Thank you for your kindness." Mo Shanghua didn't help him. She put the medicine she had cooked at the head of her bed and went out with Qinya. Before going far away, Qinya stopped and looked embarrassed. "Princess, we are new to the imperial city. There are all eyes and ears in the palace. Where are we going to find a secluded place?" On the street flowers smell speech, eyebrow also can't help but gently frown up, face do difficult color. If she is in Yuzhou, she can still find some safe places, but the imperial city is full of eyes and ears, and she has no foundation. If she is careless, she will be found. Qinya also frowned and thought hard. Then she seemed to suddenly think of something, and her eyes brightened. "I remember when I was in Yuzhou, the 13th prince was very kind to the princess. Why don't the princess go to him for help?" Mo Shanghua shakes her head and looks unhappy. "I owe him a lot. I won't disturb him any more." Qinya Dun is depressed when come down, that this can how good. The flower on the street is also in a dilemma. After a long time of thinking, the beautiful face suddenly rises a bit of beauty. "I want to be alone." Qinya Dun's eyes were full of curiosity. The flower on the street was smiling and speechless, and then walked out. "You look good here carefully. Don't let others see it. I'll see her in person." If Qinya is here at this time, I can't imagine that the person Mo Shanghua said is not someone else, but Nanha. At that time, Nanha didn't make up, but simply pulled his hair. He was wearing loose and comfortable robes, but his appearance was no less beautiful. On the contrary, it added a bit of lazy beauty. "I didn't expect you to ask for my day." South Crane lips slightly hook up, delicate chin slightly raised, is still that arrogant appearance. The difference is that it is less sharp than before. Mo Shanghua did not retort, but admitted frankly, "I'm asking for your help." "Do you really want to help me?" South Crane see Mo Shanghua admit so calm, in the heart poor also surprised. After a while, he suddenly laughed at himself. "I didn't expect that the woman I used to regard as the enemy was so free and true. If I didn't sink here first, I would not be your enemy." "I appreciate you very much," he said. Nanha can see clearly in this period of time, out of the demons, and now put down, she really admired. If you were her, you might not be as free and easy as she is. As a result, she could not help but feel sympathy for each other. South Crane is the same feeling, now just face, seriously said, if you are willing to forget the past, I South Crane will not hold on to the past, your things I will help. After a pause, she began to smile again. However, the smile seemed sad and envious. Lord, if I can have a woman like you as my companion, I won't lose completely. The Lord is a person worthy of trust. I hope you love me, and I will walk out of it completely. I wish you all the best. The flowers on the street smile and smile gently and generously, you are not the thing in the pool. If you can get away from it, you will meet someone who loves you in the future. Believe me. South Crane also pursed lips to smile, the tone is free and easy at will, so, then along with fate. Nanha did what he said, and soon prepared a safe place for her, and soon sent her in person. Just, if Mo Shanghua knows in the future that the charming Jade is looking for the flower Qianlu, what will she think? She should be more thankful that thanks to the indirect help of Nan He, Yan Beicheng was saved from eating. After solving the problem of setting up the charming Jade for the time being, Mo Shanghua can't take care of other things, and is addicted to the matter of transforming the form and dispersing the body. He doesn't sleep and makes a less harmful substitute. Yan Beicheng, on the other hand, didn't know what kind of means he used. He seldom went to the Yanhu Luxiang these days. Instead, he went to the palace every day to greet the Empress Dowager, which aroused her pity. He sighed that he had lived in Yuzhou since he was a child and had never seen the style of the imperial city, so he stayed in Yuzhou for 2 more months. Although Baorong Emperor was not happy about this, he did not say much because of the Empress Dowager's face. And Yan Emoli this side, facial expression but thoroughly gloomy come down. Although he only had Baorong Emperor's idea, he was uneasy in the end and accelerated the progress of the plan. In the Hall of Nourishing the Heart, Emperor Baorong rubbed his eyebrows and looked tired. Master, I don't know if you have developed any new pills recently. I'm very tired these days. I feel that my body is not as good as before. The National Master nodded slightly, covered his eyes with long eyelashes, took out a brocade box from his sleeve, and said, this is the Qingxin pill developed in combination with the local way of self-cultivation in the West. You can clear your heart and concentrate after taking it. In front of the Emperor's eyes, he asked Lu Weng to present it. Almost at the moment when Lu Weng just got the pill, he took it out and took it. He had no doubt or hesitation. Obviously, he had great trust in the national teacher in front of him. However, when he just took the pill, his face was still a little comfortable, but his face was wrinkled, but he turned around and stretched slightly, and his face was not very happy. I think I used to take too many pills. At this time, I don't think they have any effect. I don't know what's in his mind. He suddenly blurted out. Seeing this, the National Master's brow condensed for a moment. In a blink of an eye, he returned to the original state with a calm expression. I have found many other prescriptions during my trip to many countries. I will study them carefully when I go back today, so as to develop a more effective pill for your Majesty. I hope your Majesty will wait patiently. Emperor Baorong nodded slightly, with a happy face, the national teacher knows my heart very well, I will feel grateful. After a pause, he couldn't help asking again, I don't know if the National Master has found out something about the art of longevity. The National Master pondered for a moment, and then said, Your Majesty does not know something. There must be many criticisms and inappropriate points in the process of the art of longevity. I have to think more about it before I can start. Thanks to the teacher. There was some disappointment in Baorong Emperor's eyes, but he didn't dare to ask more questions. Your Majesty. If there is nothing else, I will go back to the government first. The national teacher bent slightly to salute, and prepared to go back to the mansion. Baorong immediately nodded. The national teacher turned around and left. At the moment of turning around, his lips slightly and indisputably lifted up a radiance of sarcasm, but at the same time, he recovered as usual without any abnormality. After the National Master left, the Emperor's eyes were a bit gloomy, and said in a deep voice, The National Master is more and more useless now. I can't do the same thing that I told him, not to mention the skill of longevity, even the most common skill of self-cultivation. It's really useless. Lu Wen quickly held the tea and opened his mouth with a smile. All the wrinkles on his face were crowded together. Your Majesty, since ancient times, which emperor was not looking for the art of longevity, but if this art of longevity was so simple, I would not know what it would be like in this world. Barong Emperor didn't open his mouth. He took a sip of the tea. The warm and sweet tea filled his mouth. Then he felt a little more comfortable. Well, although I'm not as healthy as before, I can still afford to wait. In Lu Wen's eyes, Tong Ren turned slightly, and suddenly said, "Didn't your Majesty welcome the son of the Wuxian family into the palace a few days ago? The witches and fairies are famous for their magic. Why don't your Majesty call him to ask?" Barong Emperor's face sank a little, but said, "Do you think I can't think of this place? But I called him a few days ago, but he pretended to be profound and unpredictable. So far, I haven't been able to find out his background, and I don't know whether the rumor is true or false." Lu Wen laughed meaningfully. "Your Majesty, why are you confused? If an expert is willing to show his hand easily, he can't be regarded as an expert. I don't believe him. They have come here specially this time, but they haven't refused your invitation. The purpose will be simple." "How do you say that?" Beirongdi was a little interested. He put down his teacup and listened carefully. Seeing this, Lu Wen felt a little proud. Even if he talked about it with a high voice, in the past years, the Witch Fairy clan didn't send people out, but which one, like this year, not only sent so many disciples, but also their holy son. What's more, in previous years, they just went away after congratulation and never sent gifts. This year, although they didn't send gifts, they really stayed. As for the reason why they didn't send gifts, it was because they had a precept that they should not easily take out the things of the clan. Therefore, they only gave oral blessing at most. Barong Emperor listened to Lu Wen's analysis and thought about it again and again in his heart. He could not help nodding thoughtfully. "In that case, Lu Wen, you are going to the temple of the Holy Son of Xuanwu Fairy." Thinking of Lu Wen's analysis, he ordered him to go on, just to see Ning Tongji soon. Lu Wen is busy to answer next, the foot distance extremely quickly rushed to. Not long after that, Ning Tongji went to the hall under the leadership of Lu Wen. The difference is that this time he did not come alone, but also brought in more than a dozen Wuxian people who accompanied him. When Emperor Baorong saw this, he had a vague guess in his heart, but he didn't make it clear directly. He pretended to be confused and said, "What does the sun mean?" Rather no to smell, a little smile, said, "Since I am grateful to your Majesty these days for our care and hospitality, special thanks." Barong Emperor leaned forward slightly, and his face was curious. "I heard that the Wuxian clan had a precept. People in the clan should not take things out of the clan without authorization. I don't know how the Holy Sun would thank you. Your Majesty, just look." Rather no-face smile not to reduce, quite some mysterious mouth. In this way, not only Barong Emperor, but also Lu Wen is particularly curious. Rather no to see, just turn to the side of Xue Zufan charged A, and then get away from the body. Xue Shuiying went down, and then other women of the same clan, a total of 12, lined up, saluted Emperor Baorong. None of them had anything to carry, but now they each produced a sword out of thin air. Before Lu Wen had time to exclaim, their swords changed into wooden swords. Barong Emperor's eyes were filled with excitement. He held his breath and looked at His Royal Highness's 12 women. Next, she just prepared an ordinary sword dance. However, this is not an ordinary sword dance. These beautiful-looking women sometimes soar into the air, but they are different from the lightness skills of martial arts practitioners. They can not only soar into the air, but also walk on the ground as if they were walking normally in the air, which is almost unprecedented. There are 2 more women in the beginning, they do not know where to transform into a guqin, a long shao and then accompanied. The music is melodious and graceful, just like fairy music. And the saber on those women's hands also changed into soft and elegant silk with the change of their music. After a song, everyone flew down, and the soft ribbon turned into a picture scroll. A picture of peace and prosperity slowly unfolds on the scroll. I wonder if your majesty is satisfied with this. Ning knew that he was not surprised by the shock of all the people present. He turned his eyes and looked at Barong Emperor, who had not come back. Barong Emperor was able to recover himself, and walked down from the dragon chair with an excited face. Wonderful, wonderful. I've seen folk magic before, but it's the first time I've seen such a fantastic and mysterious transformation. I've never heard of it, never seen it. Rather no slightly drooping eyes, smile of modesty, but carving insects small skill, it is to let your majesty laugh. If these are just small skills, is not our kingdom useless? When Barong Emperor heard the speech, he was secretly and even more frightened. Rather no, but just smile but not language, the bottom of the eyes micro can't check over a faint light. Princess, it said that the son of the witch fairy clan showed his hand in the palace yesterday. His Majesty is very happy and has given many things to him. He still needs to be appointed as an official. Qinya looked at the moment rare to rest down on the flower, can't help but quietly. On the street flowers smell speech, on the face scent have no accident also, this matter early in expect. Qinya Dun's face was curious, how can it be expected? Mo Shanghua looks up at Qinya helplessly, puts her things aside for a while, and says, I'd rather know that if I don't want to stay here, I won't stay in the palace for so many days. You have to taste many things carefully. Qinya nodded thoughtfully, then suddenly surprised and said, it said that this holy son really knows fairy art. Everyone who saw his performance said that he was strange, and they didn't know what kind of fairy art it was. Princess, do you think that if he really knows magic, it will threaten the position of the national master? The flower on the street looked down at the herbs on the table. The color of her eyes was slightly deep. Naturally, that Ningxi is Yan Moli's weapon to balance the national master. However, it is not easy to overthrow the national master who has been standing on the court for 5 years. When Qinya heard the words, he suddenly opened his mind. But for a moment, he seemed to think of something and put on a layer of doubt. But in that case, why did he join our team and walk with us for so many days? Mo Shanghua eyelashes droop, and took herbs in the hands of the preparation, in order to cover up the eyes of the cold, maybe just a coincidence. There are some things that Qinya should know little about. Qinya frowned slightly, as if she didn't agree. But seeing the flowers on the street like this, she didn't ask any more. She always talks a lot. She doesn't want to talk about it, so she can't help talking about other things. Since the Lord went back to the palace a few days ago, he seldom went back to the palace these days. He was colder to the princess than when he was in Yuzhou. He has his own business to be busy, and now I'm here, the thing in hand is the most important thing. Yan Moli invited Ning Tongji to be such a strong enemy. Yan Beiqing must be in a bit of a mess at the moment. He must be trying to deal with it. He has to be busy running around in the Empress Dowager's palace. Where can he come to see her? At present, it is the most important thing for her to develop this medicine to relieve Yan Beiqing's pain. And after that, she naturally has her own things to do. Lu Qianqian designs to frame her many times, and it's time for her to repay. Thinking about it, she could not help but evoke a slightly sarcastic radiance. Qinya looked at the flowers on the street with such an expression. She shivered slightly in her heart. Mo Shanghua's expression is the most clear. She thinks that someone has offended the princess again. She can't help but mourn for that person in her heart. At night Mo Shanghua quietly went to Yan Beiqing's bedroom alone. In recent days, Yanbei City seldom went back to the mansion. It was very quiet in the bedroom, and the needles could be heard. I have something to tell you. Come out. She looked around the quiet, dark room, and then spoke slowly. As soon as the voice fell, Mo Ling suddenly came out from the dark and leaned slightly towards her, but did not give a big gift, princess. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua took out a porcelain vase from his sleeve and said, I've worked hard to develop it for many days. I know he's very busy today, so I entrust you to give it to him. Remember, hand it to him. Mo Ling took the porcelain bottle, but did not move. I do not know the princess, what is this thing? Mo Shanghua did not give you more explanation, but said, he will understand when he sees it. Mo Ling should come down, toward the flower arch hand line a gift, and then again in the dark. He just went out, the hind foot then suddenly appeared again, attracted the flower face do surprised, how do you go back? Before Mo Ling could explain, Yan Beicheng, dressed in black, suddenly appeared behind her, holding the small porcelain vase she had just given to Mo Ling, it happened to be. He strode in, then told Maureen to go out, and he strode over. How did you come back? The flower on the street twists its eyebrows slightly, with doubts on its face. Yan Beicheng pulled her over, no longer joking as usual, just said, I have something to ask you to help. Then he took out a brocade box from his sleeve and opened it. Under the bright yellow brocade cloth in the brocade box were several snow-white pills, which looked different from ordinary pills. Mo Shanghua picked up one with suspicion, put it on the tip of his nose, sniffed it gently, closed his eyes slightly, felt it for a while, and then said, is this a pill for peace of mind? Yan Beicheng said nothing, indicating that she was looking. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua knew that her guess was wrong. She simply crushed the pill in her hand, and then carefully considered it at the end of her nose. Her eyebrows sometimes frowned and sometimes stretched. A moment later, she seemed unable to distinguish, so she twisted some to be sent to the entrance to distinguish. Seeing this, Yan Beicheng grabbed her hand and frowned, this thing is not for ordinary people. His words are like the top of his head, let Mo Shanghua's originally frowning brows suddenly stretch out and say, what's mixed in here? Yan Beicheng nodded slightly in her suspicious eyes and said, these are all the things that the emperor has been serving all the year round. I'm just following the methods of the former national teacher and improving them. No one can find them except you. Mo Shanghua just stretched his brow and frowned again, the method of the former national teacher. Yan Beicheng nodded slightly and explained in a low voice, although Barong Emperor is usually shrewd, he is very persistent in this matter, and even delusions of immortality. At this point, his eyes could not help but feel a bit ironic, I don't know where there is any art of immortality in the world. The former national master knew that he could not please him gradually, so he simply took the sword and mixed some poisonous cherry grass into the refined pill. It's the most addictive. Although it's very pleasant to take, if it goes on like this, it will only make the body empty gradually. After I managed to get rid of the national teacher, I got this prescription from him and ordered Lu Zheng to improve it. That's how it looks today. In this way, today's Barong Emperor is afraid that he has already been strong on the outside and strong in the middle. And this poisonous cherry grass must have the same effect as the drugs of the 21st century. It's normal that the medical skills of this era are backward and the imperial doctors can't find out. Mo Shanghua nodded slightly and looked clear, now you take it to me, but what's wrong? Is it difficult for Nanning to know what he found? Think of here, her eyes color suddenly nervous. Yan Beicheng quickly took her hand and gently comforted her, saying, no, it's just that Emperor Baorong is more and more greedy. He thinks the medicine is not enough, and he often asks me about the method of longevity. Naturally, I can't find any method of longevity, so I can only work hard on it. If not, Emperor Baorong would hate me. At that time, I will be short of a sharp weapon. Where is Lu Zheng? I've sent for it. Mo Shanghua nodded slightly and wiped the crumbs of Dan pills with a handkerchief. Then she said, I know what you mean. It's a coincidence that I've come into contact with similar things before. If you can get the poisonous cherry grass, I can start to study and improve it. You can rest assured. She didn't ask why Yan Beicheng could do harm to his father, but simply agreed to his request, which moved Yan Beicheng's heart. After a moment's hesitation, he asked, don't you think I'm terrible? What terrible place is there? Mo Shanghua takes out a pill in the brocade box and gives the rest back to him. He doesn't care much. Yan Beicheng's thin lips gently pulled out a radiant of self-mockery, even his father can do harm, isn't it terrible? Mo Shanghua raised his head and looked at him seriously. If Lu Bohan is harming me once, I will not be soft-hearted to him. It suddenly occurred to Yan Beicheng that they were all the same miserable people. Although they were relieved, they also felt sad. As everyone knows, his situation is just afraid that the flowers on the street can't catch up. Barong Emperor is his own father. He always has some expectations, not like the flower on the street. He never regards Lu Bohan as his father. Naturally, he will not have any sadness. He is also the mood of the original owner, which has nothing to do with the flower on the street. If you don't kill him, it's just a temporary blood relationship. Mo Shanghua knows that she doesn't have much time to stay in the capital, but some things can only be done step by step. Although Lu Qianqian is easy to move, it's not easy to use her to pull Yan Moli into the water. What's more, although she had the trump card of charming jade, there was still a lack of evidence in the past. At this time, she had something else to do. In the past, those ladies were reluctant to attend the banquet, but today, she took Qinya with her. For nothing else, just for the host of the banquet, Lin Xiangyin, the eldest granddaughter of the Marquis in the East. Lin Xiangyin's banquet naturally attracted many people, except Lu Qianqian. Moreover, even if Lu Qianqian wanted to come, she would not invite her. Mo Shanghua knows in her heart that she and Lu Qianqian have a personal grudge. Inviting herself is just a hindrance to the Empress Dowager's recent love for Yanbei City. As a result, the ladies who had treated her coldly last time were flattered. If she was in Yuzhou, Mo Shanghua would still do drama, but at this time, she would not even do drama. She just sat at the table with a cold face, and no one would answer. Others are to avoid but not anxious, but Lin Xiangyin does not know why, extremely interested in coming together. Princess, how a person here? Mo Shanghua glanced at her, but just glanced at her and didn't answer. Lin Xiangyin was not annoyed either. She sat down beside her and said curiously, I haven't seen you before. In the past, although you didn't behave like Lu Qianqian, you were gentle and tight. How come you seem to be a different person now? After a pause, she seemed to think of something and sneered, is it because now that she is a princess, she feels superior and doesn't have to talk to us? So humiliating words export, Mo Shanghua face is still calm, a pair of secluded pupil is as calm as the pool under the deep well without wave. If you suffer great change, how can you remain unchanged? Lin Xiangyin was a little stunned. She couldn't help thinking of the encounter of flowers in the street. Her eyes flashed and she took the initiative to hold up the wine cup. I forgot that the princess was also the victim of Lu Qianqian. I think she is also a poor man. Next to the dinner, a noble girl heard her say so, quickly gently pulled her sleeve. Sister Lin, you can't talk nonsense, that thing is your majesty's holy judgment, how can it be a frame-up, you can't be bewitched by others. But Lin Xiangyin turned her lips and disdained, Lu Qianqian's plain clothes are weak, but in fact she is the most scheming. I just can't stand her. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua seemed to be interested. She said quietly, she has a good reputation in the imperial city. Even the queen is very fond of her. How can you see that she is not good? Lin Xiangyin snorted coldly, and her pretty face was full of jealousy. That slut looks gentle, but who doesn't know that he is in love with Ling Wang's elder brother, and often goes to the queen's palace to offer hospitality. Doesn't he want to marry Ling Wang's elder brother, so it's not a trick? The flower in the street, however, began to smile and said, Miss Lin, I think you are also in love with Ling Wang. Lin Xiangyin's pretty face suddenly turned red. She was extremely shy. You, don't talk nonsense. The flower on the street saw this, but the front of the words suddenly turned, and her voice was slightly cold. If Lu Qianqian, he must be shy and timid at this time. You dare not even admit it. How can you imagine that Ling Wang will be happy with you? You bullshit. Lin Xiangyin's face turned red when she heard the speech. She couldn't help refuting, my cousin is always the best to me. He always ignores that bitch. Oh. Mo Shanghua nodded lightly and mended the knife impolitely. You know, he is a cousin, so he is so good to you. Lin Xiangyin immediately stood up and pointed to the flowers in the street. You are really deceiving people. Princess you are not welcome here. Please go back to your house. No one thought that the situation would come to such a state. People in the factory were stunned for a long time, and then no one advised them. On the contrary, most of them were watching jokes. Qin did not expect that Mo Shanghua would deliberately enrage Lin Xiangyin. Seeing that her princess was about to lose face, she looked at Mo Shanghua and said, "Princess, what should I do?" Mo Shanghua stood up with an indifferent face, as if she was not the one who had swept her face. "I dare not even face the facts. In my opinion, you have no hope of marrying the person in your heart in this life. You only deserve to see Lu Qianqian's complacency." Finish saying, then turn round and go directly. Complexion is still indifferent, more show a bit free and easy indifferent, don't see a cent in a hurry. Lin Xiangyin looked at the back of Hua Sha on the street, completely stunned. "Princess, why on earth did you do that? How can you carry out your plan?" On the carriage, Qin wiped the cold sweat that just came out and couldn't help saying. Mo Shanghua just smiles and doesn't intend to explain, "Think about it for yourself, and then ask me." That's right. From the very beginning, she pretended to be like that in order to attract Lin Xiangyin's attention. But later all sorts of, is only observes Lin Xiangyin's disposition, intentionally for it. Now, it's up to her whether she will continue to bite. Mo Shanghua turns to see Qin, who is still thinking hard, and his lips start to smile. "Lu Qianqian, you should keep this gift." This thought only took a turn in her mind. The stable carriage suddenly shook. In front of her, there came the roar of horses, the sound of horses' hooves rubbing against the ground, and the sound of the crowd gradually gathering around. For the first time, Qin lifted the curtain and jumped down from the carriage to check the situation. Seeing this, she did not get off the carriage and sat in the carriage waiting for the situation. After a while, Qin came back with a complicated face. She muttered for a long time and then said, "Princess, our carriage has collided with the carriage in the palace. The person you hit is." Later, she did not say anything. "You know I don't like people who stammer the most," he said, "we have run into Prince 13's carriage. Now Prince 13 is in front of it." Qin took a breath and simply finished. The flower on the road was slightly leng for a while. After a while, she said slowly, "Go down and accompany me." As he spoke, he got out of the carriage first. At that time, standing in front of the carriage, who was Yan Sichuan, who described the thin and mild-looking man. On the banquet that day, Mo Shanghua just glanced at him, and Yan Sichuan also deliberately avoided it. Now, it seems that they met for the first time after returning to the city. Yan Sichuan's eyes gently stayed on the beautiful cheek of Mo Shanghua, and his lips gently pulled up a smile. It turned out to be Huang Sa. Once upon a time, he could not shout out the two words, but now he said them calmly. Since Mo Shanghua confessed to him, he decided that the past should be abandoned. At this time, he would not be entangled in this title. The flower in the street was also slightly stunned for a moment, and then nodded to him as if he had realized, "It's my carriage that bumped into your highness. Please don't be strange." Yan Sichuan was still smiling, as if the warm spring breeze was blowing his face. "Huang Sa is serious. According to reason, it should be me who should let Huang Sa be." Between speaking, between the throat and light itch up, habitual cover lip light cough. However, the cough was much heavier than usual, and it took a long time to recover as usual. "Your Highness is seriously ill again?" Mo Shanghua asked subconsciously, with worries hidden in her eyes. Previously, he was the best to himself, and she naturally took great care of him. Yan Sichuan saw through her concern in her eyes, and felt extremely warm in her heart. Lao Huang's sister-in-law thought about it. "Last time I left Yuzhou, I had a minor illness on the way back, and it's only now." The young man behind him saw this, but he was not satisfied. He couldn't help saying, "What's a minor disease? That disease almost cost His Highness half his life, and it hasn't fully recovered." What a mouthful. When Yan Sichuan heard the speech, he could not help turning his head and yelling. However, his gentle and soft nature, in how fierce look, also can't frighten people. The little guy was not scared at all, just not angry. Shut up. On the street flower hears, can't help silence down, haven't spoken for a long time. So it's because of her. Seeing that they seemed to have a lot to say, Chinya simply suggested, Your Highness is not in good health. There is a tea house over there. Why don't we go to the inner room and call for a hot tea and talk about it in detail? Mo Shanghua nodded, in the heart already born must help Yen Sinshuan cure idea. Yen Sinshuan is most considerate of other people's face, since will not brush her face, can only follow. Into the tea house, the second on the hot tea, two people have not yet opened their mouths, but there is a bright light man's voice came in. Small Mo flower, really didn't expect, we so predestined relationship, is to arrive at the imperial city, also can so happen to meet by chance. It took a while for the man to come in and lift the curtain of Yejian. He was dressed in the red clothes of Sabao, and his forehead was decorated with the same color that is popular in the imperial city today, which makes his face look like jade. The flower on the street saw the visitor, and her eyebrows twitched subconsciously. Hua Qianlu, aren't you in Yuzhou? A red dress of flower willow, holding the usual folding fan, very familiar in the side sat down, also ignore the flowers, smiled to Yen Sinshuan, I think this is the 13th prince, in the next flower willow, nice to meet you. Although Yen Sinshuan didn't know this person, seeing that he seemed to be acquainted with Mo Shanghua and so familiar with him, he also gave a smile, nice to meet you. Flower Willow's smile is very brilliant, and turned to look at the flowers on the street, small Mo flower, you can really not authentic, alone to the imperial city also don't know will I say. Mo Shanghua looked at him with a smile, and said suspiciously, it's not strange that I came here, but you. How can you suddenly come to the imperial city? I'm a businessman, so I have to travel all over the world to do business. What's so strange about coming to the imperial city? Hua Qianlu shrugged, sat down and said with a smile, besides, this tea house is also my industry. Mo Shanghua was not surprised by his words, and didn't want to quarrel with him. He simply turned his head and looked at Yen Sinshuan, with a smile of apology. This man is the most naughty. Don't blame him, Your Highness. Yen Sinshuan pulled out a smile on his morbid face and said in a mild tone, it's not in the way. Besides, a free and easy person like young Master Hua is also my favorite. Speaking of this, his face could not control the depression, and his eyes showed some yearning. He was born with such a body. He can't be as free and easy as ordinary people, let alone flowers and willows. I don't know how envious he is. The flowers in the street can't help being silent. I don't know how to comfort them. I thought that Hua Qianlu would also be wise to skip this topic, but he didn't want to. He just raised his head and laughed, and his face was full of relaxed color. Your Highness, what's the difficulty of being ordinary? Isn't that a miracle doctor in front of you? Yen Sinshuan just suddenly brightened up his eyes, slightly stained with bitterness, my body is born to change. I have not reported any hope for a long time. I still don't have to worry about Lao Huang's sister-in-law. If it can, how it doesn't want to be well treated. Mo Shanghua also mentioned it to her, but how can he not know it? It's just like Arabian Nights. That's all. That's it. Mo Shanghua saw that his face was full of frustration, and he couldn't bear it. Although I can't take care of your body completely, I can help you relieve the pain, at least better than today's state. Hua Qianlu Mingming was not familiar with him, but he also repeatedly comforted him, it's better to live than to die. It's so simple and reasonable. Don't Your Highness know it? Yen Sinshuan shook his head with a bitter smile, stood up, and looked at the flowers in the street with his eyes. I know you are in a difficult situation in the imperial city, but I am weak and can't help you. You are so difficult now, how can I drag you down? Sorry, I don't feel well. I have to go back to the palace. Goodbye. Said, he would not refuse to turn first. Although the back is thin, it is still tall and straight. Mo Shanghua sighs in her heart, knowing that Yen Sinshuan just doesn't want to trouble her. But in the end is some distressed, such a gentle and modest prince. Hua Qianlu saw the flowers on the street and sighed. It said that the third prince can't live beyond 25 years old. I didn't believe it before, but now it's really sad. Mo Shanghua turned his head and said, Hua Qianlu, you are here specially. Isn't it really just a chance encounter? Flower Thousand Willow immediately comforts Sai A, howl away, really hide your eyes. Then he raised his hand, took out a small porcelain vase from his arms, and raised it to the hand of Mo Shanghua. Lu Zheng and I went together. He knew the situation of Beicheng, and his mind was active. He had long expected that there would be such a day, so he asked me to bring it to you first, and asked me to give it to you. He was afraid that he was far away and could not know the situation of the imperial city at any time, so he asked the stranger to spend time to check it carefully. How could he get caught? Mo Shanghua Jie took the porcelain bottle and asked suspiciously. Flower Thousand Willow Long Eyebrow Tiny Pick, do you think Lu Zheng has no enemy? Mo Shanghua nodded slightly and put away the porcelain vase. When Hua Qianlu saw that she looked cold, she couldn't help coming up again. He is a doctor, and he always does good things to save the world. You don't wonder, what enemy did he meet? Mo Shanghua heard him say so, and there was no fluctuation on his calm and indifferent face. You will always help him settle down. What's the use of talking to me about this? Lu Zheng is now an ordinary doctor on the surface, but he is Yan Beicheng's right-hand assistant on the surface. His father once gave his life to save Yan Beicheng's mother and son. Because of this, Yan Beicheng will surely protect him. Hua Qianlu knew that she was not interested in the flowers on the street, but she could not help saying, do you remember Wu Cheng who was calculated by you before? His brother Wu Ru recently went to the kingdom of God to run a business. Lu Zheng met their caravan. Unfortunately, although Wu Cheng is dead, his servants are still there. Someone who knows Lu Zhengji tells Wu Ru that Wu Ru designs a frame-up to avenge Wu Cheng, who has been dead for some time. Now Lu Yui is detained by them for a while and can't get away from him. Lu Zheng was implicated in the disaster he caused at the beginning because of his own reason. He felt guilty in the flower heart of the stranger. What's the situation now? Did they start with Dr. Lu? Seeing that she was finally interested, Hua Qianlu pretended to smile mysteriously and said for a moment, this is the kingdom of God. Imperial Dr. Lu is the imperial doctor in the palace. Naturally, they dare not take it seriously. That's good. The flowers on the street just let go, but in my heart I'm sorry. In the heart is already secretly vigilant. When Wu Ru came to the imperial city, she had a deep festival with him. She must be careful. It's getting late. Mo Shanghua took a look at the sky outside the window and suddenly stood up. Wait a minute. Flower Qianlu busy holding a folding fan hand a horizontal, blocking the way of flowers on the street, small Mo flower so anxious to leave to do what, I can still have words to finish it. Flower steps on the road, looking back slightly pick eyebrows. Hua Qianlu walked slowly in front of her, little Mo Hua, do you know that you still owe me a favor? The flower eyes on the street are full of doubts. Before they open their mouth, they listen to the cold female voice outside the wing room. Hua Qianlu, I owe you the favor. Don't involve others. Mo Shanghua turns to the owner of the voice and sees that he has replaced the jewelry he used to replace when he was a concubine in the palace. Luo Kun has a big sleeve and simply wears his hair in a bun. He is still wearing comfortable military clothes, but his face is delicate and beautiful. His delicate chin is slightly raised and his body is full of pride and sharpness. It's the first time for Mo Shanghua to see such a crane. He suddenly feels that his eyes are bright and his lips are slightly bent. Nanha, who is not persistent in love, is really shining. The South Crane seems to see the amazing look of the flowers on the street, showing a little pride and self-confidence. You should have known, I never lose you. The flowers on the street couldn't help laughing and exclaimed, it's better than me. Seeing this, Hua Qianlu was surprised and looked around them in circles. When you two are still talking like this, I just think that you want to kill several rounds as soon as you meet. Mo Shanghua eyebrows and eyes slightly contain a little smile, not a bit annoyed. The world is changeable, and it is you and I can guess. She had never thought of making friends with Nanhe. Nanha, who has abandoned her love, is really shining. She feels that she loves each other, and so is Nanha. They naturally hit it off. The South Crane really frowned and swept over with a bad look. The dog can't spit out ivory. Hua Qianliuden yelled, full of grievances, I used to help you a lot. Last time, I helped you. How can you say that to me? Nanha's face didn't change, but his voice was like broken ice. Don't talk nonsense. Last time I asked you for help, don't rely on others. Hua Qianlu was always very quiet and continued to talk about him. I said, Nanha, you were not like this before. In the past, you spoke so gently and politely to me, but now you have become a different person. South Crane eyebrows slightly twitch, some unbearable, shut up. Once upon a time, it was not because of Yanbei City. Now she has abandoned the past, but Hua Qianlu mentioned it again and again, which is no different from beating her face. Mo Shanghua was confused and couldn't help interrupting a little. What's the matter, how? For a while, Nanhe owes you, and for a while, he records it on me. Before he could open his mouth, Hua Qianlu explained, he sent a girl to me some time ago and asked me to find a safe place for her. He said it was to help you, so I should go. In this way, or look at the flowers on the surface, not because of their own. South Crane face color suddenly black a few minutes, the complexion is not good of stare at him, if not Lord have something to order, I definitely don't with you this shrewd skin say more. Flower willow is not to be outdone, people are born well, but it's a pity that the mouth is so poisonous, it's really unpleasant. The South Crane brow immediately tightly screwed up. The flower in the street couldn't get in for a moment. After standing beside him for a long time, he saw that they had not stopped, so he quietly left. He had another plan in mind. He would like to thank both of them. He would like to thank them later when he has time. Nanha, in particular, asks Hui Qianliu for help for her own business. At first glance, she looks down on Hui Qianliu, but she is willing to ask Hui Qianliu for help, which shows her sincerity. After Mo Shanghua went back, he carefully checked the medicine in the porcelain vase, and added some neutralizing substances in it, which made the medicine more secret, and then asked Mo Ling to give it to Yan Beicheng. At that time, Barong Emperor was already dazzled by the endless, fairy art of Ning Tongji, and his trust in him became stronger and stronger, gradually surpassing that of the national master. Nai He Ning knew that he had never taught him the magic, and he didn't take out a pill to take for him, which made the position of the national master a little stable. Lu Zheng's bottle of medicine arrived in time. There is also a plan in my heart. I've been staying in the mansion these days, and Aunt Zhang has stopped for a while. The mansion is more peaceful. In his spare time, Mo Shanghua will continue to study the so-called Qingxin pill, and Zhuyan pill, and so on. In addition, he will also take a look at the ancient ways of recuperation about the deficiency from time to time. On this day, Mo Shanghua was taking a medical book to check the side effects of the poisonous cherry grass. Suddenly, a maid came in and said, "Tell the princess, Miss Lin, who is in the east of the waiting house, has sent a letter saying that she wants to see you." Qin Yadun's face was surprised. How could she have handed over the invitation? Is there any other purpose? She clearly remembers that a few days ago she was annoyed with her master and drove them out. Mo Shanghua's cold face turned, and her lips curved slightly. I'm the first one to visit the imperial city. No matter what, I shouldn't refuse it. Please come in. At the sight of the flowers on the street, Qinya seemed to be awakened, and suddenly understood something. Is the princess waiting for her these days? Mo Shanghua gently nodded and nodded with a smile. This is what I expected. If not, how can I stay at ease? Let's go and wait in the main hall. Today's Lin Xiangyi no longer has that day's anger, on the contrary, she has a kind face, and her eyes seem to contain light. At this time, Mo Shanghua had returned to her normal state of coolness, and she sat quietly. How did Miss Lin think about coming here today? Is it because the last time things have not subsided, and then come to the door to question. Lin Xiangyin didn't mean that. When Yan quickly explained, Sister Lu misunderstood. I didn't mean that. She today also don't know how of, even call all a few days ago of princess become now of Lu elder sister. Mo on the eyebrows but a moment cold a few minutes, I have nothing to do with Prime Minister Lu, now, my name is Mo, the Lu family doesn't look like a good person to me, especially the new Lu Qianqian, who has a deep heart. It's good for my sister to break off the relationship with them. Lin Xiangyin smelled speech, the face showed a bit of indignation, so, in the future I will only call for Sister Mo. The flowers on the street nodded slightly, which was the answer. Her eyes were cold, and she didn't like to take the initiative to speak. Lin Xiangyin didn't annoy her for neglecting, so she took the initiative to speak. Sister Mo, I don't have so many twists and turns in my heart. I can say whatever I think. Now, I've told you the truth. Lin Xiangyin seemed to think of something. Her white cheeks turned red slightly. As my sister said, I like your highness. Originally, His Highness was also very kind to me. He hated Lu Qianqian. Knowing that His Highness didn't want to talk to him, he went to the palace every day to please the queen's aunt. The coaxed aunt often called her to the palace. Mo Shanghua listened to her words carefully, but pretended not to understand. How is Miss Lin willing to say these to me? Lin Xiangyin saw this and said, Sister Mo went to Yuzhou for only half a year. She held the Yuzhou palace and even half of Yuzhou in her hands. She was not favored by the king, and she lived at ease. So she was extremely intelligent. I knew I was stupid. I didn't know how to make the queen's aunt change her mind. I asked Sister Mo for advice. The flowers on the street were shining slightly, but they didn't show anything on their face. I'm an outsider, and I'm not welcome by the queen. How can I help you? Miss Lin, you'd better find someone else. Although she has such a mind, if she agrees too quickly, doesn't she seem to be very utilitarian? Naturally, we have to refuse first. Lin Xiangyin is really eager to get up, busy holding the hand of Mo Shanghua. Sister Mo, I really can't help it. I'm afraid that after a long time, the queen's aunt will be bewitched by her. Once I get married, I will never have a chance again. Mo Shanghua smelled speech, frowned thought for a while, just helpless loose mouth, but this matter, you must not reveal to anyone no, but if someone asks, you can only say is your own idea. Lin Xiangyin nodded her head like garlic. Seeing this, the flower sat up straight and looked straight at Lin Xiangyin. How dare you ask Miss Lin, your Royal Highness Ling Wang, and the Empress, what do you think? Lin Xiangyin blushed, lowered her head and shook her head in a very low voice. I'm shy in my heart, and I'm afraid my cousin won't like it, so I dare not mention it in front of the queen's aunt. Such a little girl's gesture made me feel a little sigh in my heart. After pondering for a while, I suddenly said, Miss Lin, do you really want to marry your Royal Highness Ling Wang? Won't you regret it? Originally very shy, Lin Xiangyin raised her face slightly and nodded her head naively. I've been longing for my cousin for many years, and I won't regret it anyway. The flowers on the street are silent. She suddenly felt that it was cruel to take advantage of such a simple woman. If she knew Yan Moli's true face one day, how sad she would be. Well, since she really likes it, she only takes it as a way to help her. Sister Mo. Why don't you talk? Don't you have a way? When Lin Xiangyin thought of this place, she felt a little nervous. Mo Shanghua shakes her head, gets up and walks to Lin Xiangyin's side. She bends down slightly and lowers her voice. Lin Xiangyin first showed curiosity, then brightened her eyes, with a kind of shy and coquettish smile on her lips. Lin Xiangyin could not wait for the way to get flowers. She went to the palace the next morning to see the queen. As soon as she saw Lin Xiangyin, Empress Lin would smile and withdraw all the others, leaving only 2 maidservants to serve her. Seeing no one, Lin Xiangyin removed the unfamiliar name with a smile. Ying said with a smile, Aunt, Einer hasn't talked with you for a while. Empress Lin is very tolerant to the pure-minded Lin Xiangyin, and she also likes her appearance. Her usual modesty and strictness has disappeared long ago, leaving only a gentle smile. It's not you who have no conscience, and you don't often come to the palace to see your aunt. Yes, it's Einer's not. In the future, Einer will often accompany her in the palace. Lin Xiangyin blinked playfully, then suddenly said, Aunt, Einer heard that the emperor is going to marry Li Biao? Empress Lin nodded slightly. Lear, a child who had been unwilling to make a decision a few years ago, if he was old this year, he would not, and His Majesty would consider it for him. This matter has not been stated by our palace or your Majesty. How do you know? Lin Xiangyin blushed and turned her head. She did not dare to look at Empress Lin. I just met my cousin Li a while ago. I heard that cousin mentioned it occasionally. Seeing Lin Xiangyin's intention to cover up, Empress Lin didn't blame her. She said tentatively, Why do you care so much about Lear in Japan Palace? There was a bit of humor in the words. As usual, Lin Xiangyin must be very shy in her heart and try her best to cover it up, as if it were a shameful scandal. Today, she bit her lip and didn't speak for a long time. Seeing this, Empress Lin moved in her heart and continued to ask, What's on your mind, Einer? My aunt is as old as you. I think I can understand it. Just talk to my aunt. Lin Xiangyin drooped her head slightly. She kept biting her lips. She took a deep breath for a long time. Then she summoned up her courage and looked up at Empress Lin. The words, which had already gushed to my throat, circled in my mouth a few times, and then slowly spewed out with great difficulty. In fact, I've always admired my cousin in my heart, but I've always been ashamed to say it, for fear of provoking my aunt, father, and brother's jokes. To be honest with my aunt, The words, which had already gushed to my throat, circled in my mouth a few times, and then slowly spewed out with great difficulty. In fact, I've always admired my cousin in my heart, but I've always been ashamed to say it, for fear of provoking my aunt, father, and brother's jokes. With these words, she blushed and hung her head. She did not dare to see Empress Lin's face. Although she is usually a bit bold, she is particularly shy about her love affair. If not, she would not have to wait until today to be instructed by the stranger. Empress Lin did not have the joy in her imagination. In a flash of time, she thought a little, and was soon replaced by a gentle smile on her face. You girl, with such a mind, why didn't you tell me earlier? Lin Xiangyin was embarrassed to look up, and her voice became more and more small. I'm afraid my cousin will alienate me, and I'm afraid you'll laugh at me. Empress Lin smiles gently and lovingly. She takes her hand affectionately, just like her family. Even Lu Qianqian, who often comes to the palace, can't be treated like this. How can that be? I don't have time to be happy. When Lin Xiangyin heard the speech, she felt a little happy in her heart. Then she dared to look up at Empress Lin. However, Empress Lin just looked at the joy and did not mean to open her mouth. Lin Xiangyin suddenly heard the words of flowers on the street in her mind. Her heart was tight, and she simply could not care about her face. She took Queen Lin's hand and said something coquettishly, I'm also looking forward to serving my aunt day by day, and I hope my aunt can help me make a little mention of it in front of my cousin Li. With the beginning, the following words are not so difficult to say. My grandfather and father frequently mentioned marriage to me recently, but in my heart, there is no room for anyone else except Li Biaogu. Her niece adored her son. Naturally, the queen had nothing to say. She laughed and joked. When Lin Xiangyin came out of the house happily, the smile on her lips gradually faded. The maid of honor, Ulvi, poured a cup of tea at the right time. Miss Lin's intention to Her Royal Highness is a good thing. Why does the Empress behave like this? After all, Lin Xiangyin has a good family and is also a member of her mother's family. If she has such a daughter-in-law, she will be better controlled and more comfortable than outsiders. Empress Lin had another thought in her heart and sighed, I thought so, but now Lu Qianqian is also Li Er's favorite. And Lu Qian was the daughter of the Prime Minister of the dynasty. Naturally, she was worthy of her identity, which would be helpful to Yan Mo Li in the future. Although Lin Xiangyin is also very suitable, after all, it is the queen's mother's home. It is in the support of Yan Mo Li's team, and it has little effect in marrying Lin Xiangyin. However, over the years since she became queen, although her father still cherishes her and helps her in everything, her elder brother has been staying out all the year round and has gradually alienated her. In the future, if her father dies, he may turn the wind and refuse to participate in these disputes. If he marries Lin Xiangyin, he just mends the relationship between brother and sister. But what the Prime Minister represents is the support of civil servants. For a moment, she really wavered. In the heart secretly make up one's mind, call Yan Mo Li tonight. Come and discuss it carefully. Don't mention the queen's entanglement hesitation. Mo Shanghua here, already began quietly to prepare another thing. In the elegant room of the most prosperous restaurant in the capital, the flowers on the street and Lu Qianqian sit opposite each other, their faces are calm, and they don't know whether they are happy or angry. Lu Qianqian's smile of gentle delicate, try to sit straight body, with the best posture show in the opposite of the flower. Mo Shanghua sees her this appearance, in the heart can't help but secretly funny, but on the face is still indifferent. After a while, she took the lead in breaking the silence by opening her mouth. It's rare to have time to come out and sit down today. I have an interesting story that I want to talk to Miss Lu. He said, no matter whether Lu Qianqian wanted to hear it or not, he said directly and leisurely, the Lord always goes to the palace these days. I heard the Empress Dowager say that the Empress Dowager intends to point out the marriage to several princes who have not yet married. Only this sentence, then successfully let Lu Qianqian lips smile slightly done, then more and more expand. The flower on the street saw this, the eye can't help but across a trace of sarcasm, and continued, you should be very happy in your heart. His face was so cool, but his words were very straightforward. Lu Qianqian's smile could not be suppressed, but he refused to admit, the prince's marriage means marriage, which has nothing to do with me. What can I be happy about? The princess can really laugh. Having said that, the proud provocation between the eyebrows and eyes is not deceptive. The flower on the street looked clearly, and continued to speak without laughing, you don't have to be so artificial in front of me. I know that you are afraid that nature is very happy in your heart. You can't marry King Ling immediately. There is no outsider here. Lu Qianqian doesn't want to pretend to be a concubine. He directly and undisguised provocation smile, Your Highness King Ling is both civil and military. He is also the adopted son of the queen. He is deeply loved by your majesty. He is the same princess in the future. Your identity is very different from mine. You are waiting for me to step on the bottom of your feet. The flower on the street raised her eyes, and the sarcasm on her lips was also undisguised. I'm afraid that if you can't be Princess Ling, you won't be able to step on my head in this life. Lu Qianqian's beautiful face sank down when he was Rongduan, coldly coagulating the flowers on the street. What do you mean by that? On the cold and beautiful face of the flowers in the street, a smile suddenly appears. The smile is light, but it makes Lu Qianqian feel chilly and more uneasy. What are you going to do? She said angrily, biting her teeth. The flower on the street was still silent, just a little smile, Miss Lu, what are you anxious about, just drink a cup of tea. Lu Qianqian used to have a good self-control, but at this time, looking at the smiling face of the flowers on the street, he was more and more flustered. He suddenly got up and swept the tea and snacks on the table. Suddenly, there was a sound of broken porcelain in the room. Qinya and Lu Qian, who are guarding outside the box, rush in again today. Miss, what's the matter with you? The newly promoted maid is still not clear about Lu Qianqian's real temperament. When she sees this trip, she is immediately shocked. After a long time, she asks. Lu Qianqian's mood seemed to be out of control in an instant. His irritability and insecurity came up, and his reason no longer existed. He raised his hand and slapped the servant girl heavily. This slap with full strength, maidservant pain eyes, heart is shocked, unbelievable. Miss is usually the most soft and gentle. She can't speak loudly. How can she do such things? For a moment, I forgot to kneel down and plead guilty. Lu Qianqian was even more irritated. He raised his hand and slapped him hard again. Bitch, even you dare to give me a look. 2 red and swollen fingerprints on the maidservant's face floated on her face, and then she knelt down crying. Qinya watched the scene firmly, her mind suddenly moved, deliberately stepped forward a few steps, deliberately leaning closer to Lu Qianqian, standing beside the girl kneeling and crying, with an angry face. This sister has done nothing wrong. Why did you beat her? In front of our princess, you are so arrogant and arrogant, you. Before he finished his sentence, he was slapped heavily by Lu Qian, and his white face became red and swollen. Qinya's tears almost fell down. Lu Qianqian sneered and said, "It's not your turn to speak here." Mo Shanghua's smiling eyes suddenly cooled down. She got up and pulled Qinya back to her side. Her voice was as cold as ice. "What are you? Who are you to teach me?" In the final analysis, some people are afraid of being more humble and can't even see the light. Lu Qian's face suddenly changed, a face of solemn guard looking at the flowers. "What do you say?" "I said that some people used to be bedbugs and mice that couldn't be seen in the past, but now even if they were covered with jade, they still couldn't see the light inside. If they were torn down one day, they would be dead." With that, she suddenly stepped forward, and her cold voice sounded in her ear, like the death knell that opened the gate of hell. "Do you really think Yan Moli will marry you? You're just a pawn of him. You can't be the right Princess Ling." As if he had been strangled by the lifeblood, Lu Qian's face suddenly changed, and his face twisted in an instant. "Bitch!" Suddenly she shrieked, her eyes scarlet, as if mad, "I'll kill you." With that, she pushed the flower away, hoping to make it fall on the broken porcelain. The flower on the street really did what he wanted. It was really pushed to the ground by her, but it was not hurt by the porcelain. What's more hateful is that she should be in a mess at this time, but she is full of sarcasm. Lu Qianqian's eyes seemed to be looking at a waste. Lu Qianqian's eyes were full of hatred and resentment. He grabbed a piece of porcelain from the ground and rushed to the flowers on the street. In his mouth, Lu Qianqian's venomous shrill voice called out, "Bitch, I will definitely scratch your face today." Qin Yaden was shocked and subconsciously wanted to stop in front of Mo Shanghua. Lu Qianqian's maidservant was pale and trembling, hiding in the corner and did not dare to move. Between lightning and flint, Mo Shanghua pushes Qinya out in an instant, and exchanges a look with her, but he does not dodge, so he raises his hand to resist with flesh and blood. Qinya bit her teeth and forced herself not to look. Then she ran out with her skirt in her hand. She was very frightened and cried out, "Come on, Miss Lu is crazy. Miss Lu is crazy." Now Lu Qianqian's eyes are red. As if he can't hear all the words around him, he stabs the arm of Mo Shanghua. Fortunately, the porcelain is not sharp, and several layers of clothes are separated. He just cuts his clothes, and the wound only gives some blood. When Lu Qianqian saw the scarlet blood, her eyes became scarlet, her mind was in chaos, and there was only one thought left in her mind. Kill her. Kill her. So think, then also continue to hand. The movement in the wing room is not small. It has already attracted people's attention. However, the restaurant is full of dignitaries. The shopkeeper doesn't dare to ask. At the moment, Qinya, who is in a mess, comes out in a panic. All of them are eating in the wing room, and all the people who gather together are out of the room to watch the excitement. Qinya just found the shopkeeper and was about to lead someone in to help Mo Shanghua out. Yan Beiqing didn't walk out of one of the boxes. Seeing her like this, she quickly asked, "Qinya, how can you be here? What are you doing in a hurry?" As soon as Qinya saw that the visitor was Yan Beiqing, Yan Moli and others were standing beside him. His heart jumped. He went straight up to his knees and said with dim tears, "Prince, I can't tell you more. Miss Lu is crazy and wants to take the life of the princess." In a word, everyone's face changed. Even Yan Mo Li's face, who wanted to be happy and angry, suddenly changed. Yanbei City is the most flustered one. At the moment, he doesn't care whether he wants to make a play for others. Almost instantly, he pulls Qinya up from the ground. His eyes are cold and panic. Where is it? Yan Beicheng was so powerful that Qinya almost couldn't stand steadily, and she couldn't care much. She quickly stabilized herself and led the way. At that time, Mo Shanghua was covering her right arm to dodge, and there was some blood between her fingers. It was bright red and dazzling. Yan Beicheng felt a sudden pain. At the moment, I don't care much about it. I hurry up and pull the flowers to my back. Yan Moli, who is also gloomy, asks people to come forward and hold Lu Qianqian. Lu Qianqian doesn't know what's wrong with her. She doesn't care who comes up to stop her. She waves all the broken porcelain. The people who come forward have no choice but to knock her out temporarily. Yan Beicheng turned his head. Mo Shanghua's face was slightly white at this time, and the blood in his fingers was still pouring out. Yan Beicheng felt great pain in his heart, as if he had hurt himself. I will never be good about today. All the people saw that Yan Beicheng, who only knew how to talk and laugh in the past, was cold for the first time, and his eyes were gloomy, as if they were about to drip water. Yan Moli's heart naturally will not be happy where to go, but he has nothing to do with Lu Qianqian at the moment. After a little consideration, he came forward and said, "It's not a good thing for Miss Lu to assassinate Princess Yu. Miss Lu is also the girl's home in the waiting room. Don't make it public. If we clean up the mess in the restaurant first, we will make a decision." Everything was expected by Mo Shanghua, but she didn't show it. She just took Yan Beicheng's hand and said, "According to the second emperor brother, I'm afraid that the second emperor brother can't handle this matter at the moment, and it's even worse to make trouble in the yamen. I think it's most just for the empress to handle this matter. When it comes to the queen, it won't be publicized." Yan Emoli sneers in his heart, but Mo Shanghua is the sufferer. He's just an outsider. There's no reason to shirk. There must be an explanation for this. Thinking of this, he also nodded. Sister-in-law's injury just can also go to the palace to ask the imperial doctor to see. Yan Beicheng looks at Yan Mo with a cold face. He seems to want to say something. At last, he doesn't say anything. He turns his head and looks at the pale flowers on the street. His heart hurts again. It is clear that there is a wound in the arm, but the flowers on the street pull out a smile. She doesn't like to laugh in front of outsiders. Yan Beicheng pursed her lips, picked her up and walked out of the restaurant. Yan Emoli looked at Lu Qianqian who was lying unconscious on the ground, and the maid who was shrinking. He said faintly, "Help your lady and go into the palace with us." Having said that, he turned his head and asked Sun Jiuai's friends to leave for a while. In the heart is already calculated. Today in Japan, he invited a group of nobility to a banquet. In order to win over, Yan Beicheng came with a thick face. He is not happy, and now it happened again. Lu Qianqian, he can never marry again. The scene just now was not only seen by these dignitaries, but also called out so loudly by Qinya. Not to mention how severely she would be criticized, even her reputation would not be guaranteed. The royal family will never marry a woman with a bad reputation. On the carriage entering the palace, Yan Beicheng carefully lifted his sleeve and looked at the wound of flowers on the street. I saw a scarlet wound on the white and slender arm. The wound was not deep. However, because she had just been away from Lu Qianqian, she didn't listen to the bleeding. Now she stopped bleeding. Yan Beicheng immediately full of remorse heartache, "Take out the medicine will help her deal with. I knew you would be like this, I will not depend on you." He was busy for days. A few days ago, he managed to go back to the palace. The flower on the street took him and told him secretly that he would talk with the Empress Dowager to marry Yan Moli and other princes as soon as possible. Then he told me today's plan, but he never thought that the flower in the street would hurt himself. Mo Shanghua smiles faintly and pulls down the sleeve again. There's no need to apply medicine. This is my best weapon. Yan Beicheng is helpless and distressed, Silent for a long time, Silent clenched her hand. I really don't want to involve you in these fights. His voice is low, showing a strong heartache and helplessness. Mo Shanghua holds his hand with a little effort. This is my personal resentment with Lu Qianqian. She intended to frame me on the birthday of the Empress Dowager the day before yesterday. Although I saw through it, I was hurt by someone else. I must return to my character 1,000 times. Today is just the beginning. Yan Beiqing didn't speak. He just held his hand tightly, and his eyes became darker. In any case, he didn't protect the flowers. He will always be really strong, will certainly protect her intact, let alone she personally solve the enemy. In the Palace of Cunning, Empress Lin looks at the wave of people who come suddenly. She is stunned at first, and then listens to Yan Moli's description of this matter, and her face can't help sinking. First, I carefully asked Qinya and Lu Qianqian's maidservant, but they were both waiting outside at that time. At this time, I didn't know. The flowers in the street explain themselves. At the moment, she did not have the coldness of the past. She covered her arms with tears in her eyes and knelt down. She choked and said, My mother, Mingjian, I used to have a little trouble with Miss Lu, and I broke up with Miss Lu. But Miss Lu has been very nice to me, and I have a heart of reconciliation in my heart. I just didn't think that after I said a few words, Miss Lu got excited and wanted to destroy me. It's my face. Empress Lin looked at Hua's arm stained with blood, slowed down her voice and said, We have ordered someone to call the imperial doctor. You should go inside to see the wound. The flowers on the street stopped, raised his hand to wipe the tears from the corners of his eyes, got up and left. Thank you, Empress. Empress Lin, as her own mother, naturally called out to be more sincere. When the flowers left, Empress Lin looked at Yan Moli and said, Li Er, is Miss Lin awake now? Yan Moli eyes view nose care, a serious and just mild state, back to mother, Miss Lin is not awake, but the doctor has just sent the diagnosis. As soon as the words came out, the old man with white hair stepped forward. After the salute, he said, Tell the Empress that I have seen Miss Lu. Miss Lu is a sudden disease, which is caused by depression in her heart. Once she is stimulated, she will suddenly go insane. She needs long-term rest. The implication is that it's not what she thought, it's just a matter of body. Yan Beiqing frowned and said in a cold voice, Do you mean that the princess said something that she shouldn't have said, which irritated Miss Lu? The imperial doctor was shot innocently and quickly knelt down. I dare not, but I just said according to the truth. If His Royal Highness you does not believe me, I can ask other imperial doctors in the imperial hospital to make a diagnosis again. Yan Beiqing snorted, stepped forward, and arched his hand and said, My mother, I feel pity for the princess. I'm sincere. Don't say that the princess is kind to her heart. She never says anything that she shouldn't say. That's to say it seriously. Miss Lu's murder and assassination of the princess is also obvious to all. Please ask her mother to make the decision. Brother Huang, that's not true. Yan Moli suddenly interrupted him, with a face of justice and awe-inspiring. Miss Lu was framed at the emperor's grandmother's birthday party a while ago. She was depressed and could not be stimulated. If she was sober at that time, how could she be accused? What do you mean, Brother Huang? Don't you think you're not guilty if you're insane? In this way, what are the rules of the palace and the laws of the kingdom of God? There was no smile on Yan Beiqing's face, his cold eyes seemed to contain frost, and his words were not to be outdone. Yan Moli's face sank a little. After a while, he suddenly said, In the past, I used to be Emperor's younger brother. I didn't expect that he was so clear and sharp. Yan Beiqing did not panic at all. He said coldly, If your wife is assassinated in public, I don't know if you can still deal with it safely. All right. Don't wait for Yan Moli mouth, the queen suddenly interrupted two people's words, some headache press his temple. Yan Moli immediately stepped forward with a full face of concern, the son minister is unfilial, which makes the mother upset. With Yan Moli in such a way, Yan Beiqing naturally can't ignore it, and also goes forward to accuse him. When my son sees his beloved wife injured, he is excited for a moment, and he hopes his mother will forgive him. Empress Lin waved her hand and looked tired. It's no wonder you're here. According to my palace, it's not Miss Lu's fault. Now Miss Lu is in a coma. Let's let it go. Yanbei City's face suddenly changed. Before it was time to go forward, Mo Shanghua, who had just gone down to bandage, came in and saluted. Mother. Her voice was soft and gentle, without the coldness of the past, but her pale face could not be covered. Mother, although I'm in good health, I don't know how Miss Lu is now. Empress Lin looked at the stranger strangely and said, she hurt you. How can you care about her body? Mo Shanghua smiles a little, but her smile doesn't reach the bottom of her eyes. The difficulty lies in whether Miss Lu is really nervous or sober. If you want to know, just wait for Miss Lu to wake up. Lu Qianqian is now temporarily placed in the side hall of Cunning Palace. He can't move left and right for the time being. It's okay to wait. Yen North City heart move, also follow forward a step. Sun Minister think this method is very good. Yen Moli was about to open her mouth, but she didn't give her a chance to open her mouth at all. She said, the Empress is the Queen. There's nothing wrong with what I said before. It's just that my son-in-law is the royal daughter-in-law. If you can't wait for Miss Lu to wake up and deal with it, I'm afraid it's not only unfair, but it will make others think that I'm a real bully. If I make a mistake, I just pretend to be a fool. A series of words immediately let Empress Lin just disposition overthrow. In Empress Lin's heart, she didn't want to be angry and couldn't pick out a word. After a while, Empress Lin squeezed out a few words from her mouth, just as you said. Having said that, he took the flowers to the side hall. As for Yen Moli and Yen Beicheng, they are all men. Lu Qianqian has not yet come out of the cabinet, so he can only wait outside. As soon as the Empress Hua left, Yen Beicheng sighed with regret. I heard that Miss Lu is quite interested in Her Highness, and her mother often called her into the palace. A few days ago, the Emperor's grandmother even mentioned to her father that she would marry her brother. Now it seems that Miss Lu is just about to have a predestined relationship with Her Highness. Yen Mo looks at Yen Beicheng without a smile, and does not hesitate to get rid of the relationship. My mother loves Miss Lu, but she pities Miss Lu's poor life experience. Now Miss Lu has made a terrible mistake. I think it's inconvenient for my mother to come and go with Miss Lu more in the future. The implication is that Lu Qianqian can never marry him as a concubine. Yen North City light smile, non-committal, the haze at the bottom of the eyes dispersed, as if the previous cold and terrible person is not him in general. In the side hall, Empress Lin gave the imperial doctor a command. Naturally, the imperial doctor did not dare to neglect him. She directly went forward to give Lu Qianqian needles. After a few needles, Lu Qianqian suddenly woke up. Mo Shanghua stepped forward and looked at Lu Qianqian, who was dazed and confused. He slowed down his voice and said, Sister Lu is awake. As soon as Lu Qianqian saw that the visitor was a stranger, he was angry and burned up. He didn't even pay attention to where he was. However, her sense had recovered a lot at this time. Seeing the appearance of flowers on the street, she looked around the house subconsciously. Seeing the situation around her, her face suddenly changed. Before she could take action, she turned to the Empress and said, Empress, Miss Lu seems to have no problem. In this way, she must have deliberately pretended to be a fool and wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to avenge her son's righteous words on her last birthday. Justice insisted a few words. She said the face is not red, breathless. Empress Lin's eyes twitched a few times. Before she could speak in detail, Lu Qianqian, who had just had bright eyes, suddenly screamed, shrank back to the corner of the bed and murmured. Not me, I didn't do it. Such appearance is a symptom of madness. Seeing this, Empress Lin felt a little deep in her heart, but she felt a little sorry on her face. In this way, the matter will be written off. The flower's eyes on Lu Qianqian's slightly crazy face were fixed, and her face sighed with heartache, so, I don't blame Miss Lu anymore. If I want to come to Miss Lu's appearance, it's not easy to raise her in the future. It's not easy to talk to her at the same age as flowers. No one noticed that Lu Qianqian's original eyes suddenly missed a touch of hate, and her body trembled uncontrollably. Empress Lin was full of pity and couldn't bear to look at it. Just, let's go out first. There will be people delivering letters to Lu Xiang in our palace. You can go back to the palace first so that you can have a good health. Thank you, mother. Flowers on the street smile and bow to salute. When Lu Bohan saw a smile on his face and was sent back to Lu Qianqian by the palace maid, he felt a sudden pain in his heart. He rushed forward to seize her hand and called in a hoarse voice, "Qianqian, what's the matter with you?" Seeing this, the maid in waiting felt pitiful. She hurriedly went forward with a salute. She explained clearly what happened today, and then got up to leave. Seeing off the maids, Lu Bohan has time to look at Lu Qianqian carefully. Before I had time to be sad, Lu Qianqian, who had been looking at him, suddenly raised his hand and grasped his arm, and squeezed it with a little force. Lu Bohan had been immersed in the officialdom for several years. How smart he was, he immediately realized and dismissed all the people in the house. When there was no one in the house, the silly smile on Lu Qian's face gradually faded, and the look in his eyes was clear. But, that delicate pretty cheek, at the moment of soft no longer exist, only a hate. I don't know what she thought of, she began to feel sad, her eyes suddenly turned red, and her tears began to fall. Lu Bohan hasn't appeased anyone for most of his life. Seeing his daughter crying like this, he immediately panics. He really didn't know how to comfort him. He simply lowered his face and said, "Qianqian, what's the matter? You can tell your father that if someone bullies you, he will make the decision for you." Lu Qianqian rushed to his father's arms with tears on her face. After crying for a long time, she raised a pair of red and swollen eyes and cried, "Dad, it's a stranger, it's her. Today, she invited me to a dinner party, saying that she had something important to discuss with me. She deliberately humiliated me with words. I don't know what's wrong. I can't control my behavior completely. Think of her, she is a burst of sadness, if not ask Yan Moli today will also go to that restaurant, how can she go?" "Father." Lu Qiangyang swallowed and said, "It's her, it must be her. She told the villain first. I had to pretend to be a fool to escape this disaster. However, I have no chance to talk to your highness in the future." Speaking of the back, she has choked, and tears are pouring out like a spring. Lu Bohan's face completely sank, and his anger was inexhaustible, this evil animal. "Qianqian, don't worry, Dad will make the decision for you." Lu Qianqian held his sleeve, crying out of breath, still said, "It's useless, the daughter even how she calculated is not clear, the palace doctor is nothing." Lu Bohan was silent for a long time, and suddenly sighed. Recently, the Empress Dowager has discussed with the Queen about the marriage of several princes. She has set up a banquet and is ready to choose the right woman at the banquet in a few days. Lu Qianqian's smell speech, unexpectedly a breath stem in the throat, temporarily did not slow down, two eyes a-turn, faint. In the palace at that time, Empress Lin called Yan Moli into the inner room alone. "Li Air." Empress Lin's face was mild, and she said in a slow voice, "I know that although you don't say it, you are quite fond of Miss Lu in your heart, but she is no longer useful for such things today. I thought Yan Moli should be a little frustrated at least, but he didn't want to. He didn't look up and down. He just nodded, Mother is choosing the right one." Although the reaction was not as good as expected, Empress Lin was still satisfied with his reaction and said, "Your cousin Ener has come to see me recently, and she has some thoughts about you. If you like, we will discuss with your father and emperor in the evening, and after a few days of banquet, we can get married." Yan Emoli arched his hands and saluted, "My son, thank you for your mother." As for Lu Qianqian, he was quite disgusted with her true identity, but now she is so stupid that she is not qualified to marry him for making such mistakes. However, he will never waste this move. He would order her to marry someone else and get information for him. He will never leave a scrap in his hand. Lu Qianqian, who is infatuated with Yan Moli, is still very sad that she can't marry Yan Moli. However, Yan Moli has already thought about her future role, and the candidate of Princess Ling has already fallen down. Yan Beiqing carefully embraces Mo Shanghua for fear of meeting the wound on her arm. His voice is full of heartache. Why don't you hide? You don't want to get to her and death, so why bother? Mo Shanghua's head was in Yan Beiqing's arms. It's okay, but it didn't react at that time. After a pause, her brow slightly frowned. This medicine effect may be a little fierce, which is beyond my expectation. I thought about it at that time, and then I would be a little slow. Things really like Lu Qianqian thought. It is really Mo Shanghua secretly moved hands and feet, silent to her under the poison. He will be crazy so far. Yan North City Sword Eyebrow also followed Cu to get up. Hang Mao surprised Hair to look at her. How can appear such an accident? I think it's the reason why I'm a little tired today. The flower Mao color on the Mo is light, obviously didn't put this matter in the heart. Yan North City full of remorse heartache, silent for a long time, just gently sigh. I'm useless. I always want you to work so hard. Mo Shanghua silently embraces his thin waist, with a smile on his lips. It's not because of you. Why do you blame yourself? But I've troubled you. If you hadn't mentioned marriage in front of the Empress Dowager, it would not have been smooth. Her red lips slightly hook, Gujing-like eyes a bit dark color. Think, in a few days, I give Lu Qianqian's second gift is coming. But Yan Beiqing couldn't smile. He frowned and said, if you really hate him to the bone, you can understand her directly. Why bother yourself? Mo Shanghua shook her head and sat up straight. This is what she owes me. I will take away what she wants one by one. Then, she said, I don't know if Lu Zhen can get out of trouble now. Yan North City slightly nodded, lips gently raised. Just a few merchants, how can I trap people? He gently held the hand of Flowers on the road. When you pick him up, you can be more relaxed. The flower on the street was quite pleased with a smile. Then she thought of something. Her face was a bit straight. What's going on in the court recently? But someone wants you to go back to Yuzhou. When it comes to business, Yanbei City's eyes are also straightened down. The emperor's grandmother said that she hadn't seen her for many years. She wanted to stay with me for some more time. Together with some other vassals, she was also in the city and didn't let them go. The imperial city is no better than Yuzhou. As a vassal, Yan Beiqing naturally went to the court. Although he secretly deployed a lot in the court, he can't use it now, so he can only win over the Empress Dowager. He was bold enough to please the Empress Dowager. In any case, the imperial city is the center of power of the kingdom of God. He has been preparing for many years, and now it's time for him to show his skills and never let Yan Moli alone dominate. In the future, I'm afraid no one will go to the Prime Minister's office to propose marriage. Yan Beiqing suddenly thought of something and went back to the topic. Only in this way, Yan Moli will marry a more prominent woman. The group on the flower face in the street didn't think so, and said lightly, it's sooner or later for the prince to get married. If it's a woman with poor status, don't say Yan Moli himself, even the emperor won't agree. As for herself, it was only an exception. Yanbei City is silent, holding the flowers on the street. It's a rare tranquility in the air. Today, Lu Qianqian pretended to be a fool in front of the Emperor Lin, so he didn't have the reason to recover quickly as soon as he got back to the mansion. Moreover, he couldn't find the evidence that Mo Shanghua framed her, so he had to eat this boring loss and recuperate in the mansion. As for Yan Moli, she was naturally anxious. But Yan Moli once had an order that she couldn't contact without his calling. No matter how urgent she was, she had nothing to do. A few days later, the palace held a banquet to invite many royal relatives, nobles, princes and nobles. Among them are your married or unmarried princes and princesses, young and innocent young ladies. Even Yan Xinchuan, who was not in good health, rarely attended. Naturally, the last Empress Dowager's birthday party was an exception. The banquet in the palace is the most boring. The flowers on the street have lost their interest after sitting at the meeting. They are quite impatient. Guoshe did not attend today's meeting. He was sitting beside Yan Beicheng, who was smiling and lazy. Empress Lin is very interested in inviting your ministers to show their talents. Her eyes sometimes sweep over the faces of the young women who have never been in the court. Finally, her eyes are fixed on Lin Xiangyin, and Michelle invites her to perform first. Lin Xiangyin's temperament is not very good, but in the end, she is the granddaughter waiting for her direct relatives in the East. Her status is valuable and she has been well educated since she was a child. Her Mao Guangsum shyly sweeps past Yan Emoli, who sits on the opposite side to slant to the position, summoned up the courage to step forward a dance. Graceful dance, light posture, is not inferior to any outstanding women. Empress Lin's eyes became more and more gentle. As for Lu Qian, he is still in the Prime Minister's office to recuperate, and is not even qualified to attend the banquet. Yan North City. Since a few days ago after the event, camouflage heart slightly lighter, slightly side head to the flowers, said with a smile, "Want to come, and you expect good." Mo Shanghua nodded slightly, not surprised. Miss Lin's family is very famous. Her father and grandfather all hold real power. She is also Empress Lin's niece. Without Lu Qianqian, she is the most suitable one. Sure enough, as soon as their voices fell, the first Empress Lin said with a smile, "Xiangyin, you are both talented and beautiful. It's even more rare that you are infatuated with Li Er. Today, you might as well let our palace decide to marry you too." Lin Xiangyin's face was full of shyness. Her cheeks turned red to the roots of her ears. She looked at her mother, who was wearing expensive clothes and smiling. Then she said, "But it's up to the queen." Yan Moli also walked out of the banquet and bowed down to salute, "My son, thank you for your mother's marriage." Empress Lin was relieved, and her smile became softer and softer. "So, when the banquet is over, our palace will kiss Fengji to marry you too." Seeing this, Lin Xiangyin's mother, Su's family, hurriedly pulls Lin Xiangyin out together and bends down to thank her. Both mother and daughter are happy. This is a private banquet set up by the queen. Lu Bohan and other ministers were not invited. Otherwise, they would be angry at this time. Yan North City lips cape tiny pick, rise to congratulate, congratulation to Emperor elder brother, this king raises a glass here for congratulation. Mo Shanghua also got up together, just a light sentence, congratulations. Other princesses and princesses also got up to congratulate one after another. Yan Emoli one by one should, Mao Guang as if nothing had happened in the Mo Hua Yan North City body slightly turned a circle, quickly take back the eyes. The first Empress Lin married her adopted son. She was obviously in a better mood. She turned her eyes and fell on Yan Beicheng. "North City. You've been an adult for nearly a year. Why hasn't there been any good news?" There are 3 ways to be unfilial. This is to take the opportunity of accountability, but also to make the stranger spend in public face no face. Yan Beicheng's eyes were a little heavy. He took the initiative to come forward and reply, after returning to his mother, "My son's minister is free and easy. He is not ready to be a father. Moreover, this matter is not forced. He always wants to follow the will of heaven." Empress Lin glanced at the flowers on his side, and the gentle color on her face faded slightly. "Why did the palace hear that there were several concubines in your house, but since the princess came into the house, there are fewer concubines? Now there is only one concubine. This is accountability. At present, she is still at the banquet, but in front of so many people, Empress Lin is obviously not paying attention to the flowers on the street. It's a shame on her." A trace of coldness flashed through the flower eyes on the street, and he quickly lowered his eyes. After returning to his mother, "It's an ordinary house. It's also common for women to engage in intrigue and disrespect for their mother. It's also common for women who are not in good health, and there are not many people in the Lord's house." Empress Lin did not expect that Mo Shanghua dared to talk back to her face, and her face sank a little. "Presumptuous, how dare you contradict this palace? As soon as this remark came out, there were still some whispers, and the women's families who were ready to watch the excitement were suddenly silent, and the atmosphere did not dare to breathe. In name, Empress Lin is the mother-in-law of Yan Beicheng and the mother-in-law of Mo Xianghua. In front of Empress Lin, her daughter-in-law has no right to plead. Yan North City heart a tight, subconsciously clenched the hand of Mo Xianghua, eyes bottom cold meaning continuous. I don't mean to contradict you. I just want to defend myself. Huasong opened his eyes to Beicheng and knelt down. It's my duty to take care of my inner house and discipline my concubines. If I was bullied by my inner house concubines, I'd lose my royal face. If there is something wrong with this, please punish the mother. Empress Lin's dignified and elegant face completely sank down. She looked coldly at the flowers kneeling in the main hall, and didn't speak for a long time. The worry in Yan Beicheng's eyes could not be restrained. Just as he was about to step forward, Yan Xinchuan went out of the banquet at this time and bent over the flower body on the street.